Thank you so much for joining me. It's really good to see all of you. Thanks for coming to this mindful movement and meditation session and welcoming in this brand new day. It's a beautiful morning here. I woke up to that exact view of that sunrise over that statue of the sailboat, and I'm so grateful. And I'm just so, it's always so nice to see you and have you join me, but really so impressed by your, if I want to say willingness, but your desire to start your day in this way with an intention to, to slow down, to pause as you move forward today, to be as fully present as possible with all the moments of your day so you can be with all your experiences more richly and more fully, with more clarity of mind and with more calmness, helping us to be less reactive and more appreciative. So it's wonderful that you're here this morning. And we're going to begin our day with some standing mindful movement and move into a sitting practice and hopefully have time for some gratitude practice and some loving kindness. And so you can go ahead as you feel ready, find a spot that's comfortable for you in standing. And as always, this reminder that as we move into this movement practice of being mindful with our body in stillness and movement, what we're doing is we are beginning to cultivate our ability to pay attention to what's happening right here, right now, using our bodily sensations in stillness and in movement as an anchor to help steady our attention and to steady our mind so that we have this greater access when we practice this on a daily basis or even just this morning. It allows us to better access this as we walk through our day. So, not only cultivating our ability, strengthening our ability to come back to the present moment, but also this awareness that we actually have the ability and the choice to release ourselves, to let go of the clutter, the chaos, the false narratives, all that's not needed. And so it's a powerful practice. Glad that you're here with me today. So let's go ahead and start with feet just comfortably hip width apart to your side and arms hanging loosely. And if you'd like to close your eyes so that you have a bit of a deeper, more intimate connection with your body, feel free if that's comfortable for you. Just beginning to feel your body standing here, starting to feel the breath. Feeling the breath beginning to sweep through the body and be released by the body. Just waking up to this vehicle that we exist in and starting to notice the contact of your feet against the surface beneath. Just standing and knowing that you're standing, really. Starting to feel the contact and the pressure and the weight of the body being released into the floor. You want to shift if you'd like to feel in a bit deeper, side to side, or maybe in these small circles. As you slowly begin to quiet down the chatter and just come back to what's here right now with your body standing here. Slowly bringing your body back to stillness, coming back to feeling the breath. And so as you notice and bring awareness to the in-breath, see if it's possible to bring awareness to this breath as it's being touched by the entire body, the body blowing up almost like a balloon. So with the in-breath, feeling the body seep into all the regions of the body, maybe even noticing this feeling of growth and expansion. The arms may slowly expand out to your side as you grow taller. Feeling the breath touching the tips of the fingers all the way to the tips of the toes. And then this release and just feeling as if the arms are just sinking back in. Maybe trying that a couple times on your own. And so with this rise of the body and expansion on the in-breath, and then with the release, maybe noticing that you have this ability to bring in some core stability. So drawing the tailbones together, drawing the belly back towards the spine on the out-breath. The in-breath is rising and growing and expanding. And on the out-breath, this drawing in this core stability and a release of the weight of the body into the surface. And so if you want to open or keep your eyes closed, whatever you'd like to at this point, we'll move into some just shoulder movements, wake up our shoulders and our neck. So starting by just lifting those shoulders up towards your ears, breathing nice and high, feeling a bit of tension build. And then on the out breath, just fully releasing any tension in the arms or shoulders or fingers. And again, on an in-breath, lifting up a little more gently, and we'll move into some shoulder circles. So rotating those shoulders back, feeling the shoulder blades begin to squeeze together and the expansion of the chest. And at your own pace, moving into this shoulder circle backwards and seeing if it's possible to do your best to be with the sensations here. Be with the breath. Maybe moving in the opposite direction, raising the shoulders, squeezing the shoulders forward, and feeling that expansion, that broadening of the upper back. Noticing the shoulder blades dropping. A lot of sensations that can be noticed if we choose to. Moving in either direction, perhaps one shoulder. Breathing, just attending to what's here. The other shoulder. If you'd like to, you can rotate one shoulder and then the other and bring in the whole body here, rotating the body, kind of alternating the breath. And then coming to stillness. And then as we begin to bring in sensations of our neck, going ahead and tucking the chin down towards your chest. Think if it's possible to notice the extension, elongation of the back of the upper neck and all the way down really into the upper back, upper part of the spine. And if you'd like to, clasping your fingers together over the top of the head. And on an out breath, very gently beginning to draw the head down, out and down, breathing, releasing your shoulders, tension in the shoulders as you do so. Maybe noticing just how far down you can feel the stretch here. Stopping when you need to stop, carefully attending and breathing, and then coming back up. And then letting your right arm down and maybe taking your left hand and crossing it over the top of your head by your right ear. And on an out breath, going ahead and dropping your left ear towards the left shoulder. And at the same time, reaching the fingertips of your right hands out and away so that this right shoulder stays down. And then very gradually guiding your head down. Continuing to reach out with the right fingers. Seeing if you can notice what's here, what's your boundary or limit. And breathing. Coming back up and switching hands. Pointing the left fingers out and away. And on the out breath, bringing the right ear down towards the right shoulder, keeping that left shoulder down. Noticing what's here, perhaps a little different than on the other side. And stopping when you need to stop. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just discovering, getting a more intimate connection with what's happening here in the neck. Breathing and coming back up. And then this time turning your chin towards your left toes or the left knee. So you're just rotating the chin. And then you can take either one hand or both hands on the back of your head. And on the out breath, going ahead and at an angle, guiding your chin down towards the left. Potentially feeling the elongation and the stretch on the right side, right back of your neck down into the upper back on the right side, the right shoulder. And you can play around with the angle here, turning your eyes or your chin just a bit in one direction or the other, noticing how that really changes things up. Breathing. And then coming back up and switching, and this time with your eyes forward, rotating your chin towards the right toes and going ahead and placing a hand or two on the back of your skull and going ahead and guiding the chin down in this direction at this angle. Breathing, and again, going slow enough so that you can feel what's actually here. And then if you'd like to, shifting the angle just a bit, seeing what feels right for you. And then coming back up, bringing the arms down, and then at your own pace, going ahead and moving into some neck circles without using your hands in one direction or the other. And just seeing what's here now as you breathe. Coming to stillness when you're ready, maybe shaking out those arms. Okay, so as we continue with this slow movement, continuing to steady the mind, maybe even already starting to notice the swirling activity of our mind, the chatter beginning to settle. Turning your palms out, reaching those fingertips down in a way, really extending, feeling the breath. On the next in-breath, going ahead and letting those arms begin to slowly rise, maybe with the eyes closed. Is it possible to feel the weight of the arms, the heaviness here? With the breath, can you notice the touch of the air on your open skin or on the palms? Maybe sensing into the air moving between the fingers, hands touching together, reaching up and turning those palms away from one another. And on an out breath, just very slowly, just indulging in this sensation of the arms gently drifting down. The temperature of the air. Feeling of this slow and controlled movement. And then as the hands touch down on the thighs, maybe just noticing that touch, being with the contact for a moment. An in-breath. And an out-breath. And so taking your hands together now, clasping them in front of you. And then going ahead and bringing the arms out in front so that they're even to the ground, parallel to the ground. And then gently pulling the fingertips away from one another. You'll begin to feel a broadening of the shoulders as you reach forward and apart. And then going ahead and seeing if it's possible to now release the shoulders, releasing any tension that's built up here. Making sure that you're in touch with the breath always. And then going ahead and continuing and allowing the arms to rise. Maybe turning your gaze upwards towards the palms of your hands, beginning to feel an extension here If you'd like to, turning your palms inside out and the palms now reaching up together, interlaced towards the ceiling, and this extension and elongation, touching in with the feeling of the breath against this outstretched body. And then turning the palm of the left hand out and letting that one arm begin to drift down. Reaching the right fingertips up towards the ceiling and letting the left fingertips begin to extend down the left leg. Looking up, gazing up towards the right fingers. And if you'd like to lift your left heel up just a little, deepen the stretch as you breathe. Noticing where you feel the pressure with the breath and the asymmetry, the asymmetrical trunk. Letting the heel down. Separating your legs just a little bit more now and going ahead and beginning to move into a sideways bend. Letting the fingers come down the left leg and beginning to let the right arm cross the body. Breathing. And if you'd like to, you can release some tension on the right leg, maybe touch the toe and get a bit of a deeper stretch here. And then coming back up, bringing the left arm up to join the right and clasping those fingers together again, reaching up and stretching, gazing upwards. And then now turning the right palm down and letting the right hand gently glide down with the breath. And then here, reaching those left fingers up towards the ceiling, gazing up, beginning to slide the right fingers down the right leg and lifting your right heel just a bit as you extend and reach and look. This elongation on the left side of the body and a shortening on the right side. And the breath, letting the heel down, separating the legs just a little bit again and going ahead and moving into a sideways bend here. Feeling the fingers traveling down the right leg and just going to a point that feels comfortable to you. And again, if you'd like to release the left foot out, lift the weight a bit and have a bit of a deeper stretch. See what that feels like. And then coming up and allowing the left arm to return to its side. We'll move right into a forward bend here. So again, let's begin though, before we move into the forward bend, to close the eyes and just rediscover the body standing here and the breath. So feeling the in-breath sweeping through the body, this body growing and expanding. And on the out-breath, going ahead and just drawing in the tailbones and the belly just a bit and releasing the body into the earth. And then on the next out-breath, with your hands on your thighs, going ahead and bending at the hips with the back straight if possible. Knees can be bent or straight. And so beginning to feel the hands travel down towards the knees, knowing when you want to bend the knees or to what degree you want to bend the knees, it's just fine. And then at some point as you pass the knees, letting the shoulders and the arms just begin to travel down the shins and hang. Feeling the breath. I think for me, this is my first forward bend of the morning, and I definitely feel all sorts of sensations here. And so just noticing what's here, not overdoing it. Being curious, just kind of investigating this inquisitiveness in terms of what's here. Bringing your hands on the inside of the ankles, letting them travel up the shins and knees and thighs. Back of the hands touching. Traveling up like a tulip, and the hands, the palms touching, reaching, going ahead and doing a slight back bend if that feels okay, with your gaze upwards, with the breath. And then turning the palms and coming back down. Just closing the eyes and just indulging. Just this movement, nothing more in this moment. Feeling the hands touching down. And then how about doing this at your own pace? Maybe 1 or 2 more forward bends, moving into this tulip sequence of just bending down with the hips, letting the body fall forward, taking your time and hanging here. What's it like the second time? How does the body feel now? Coming back up at your own pace. A gentle arch back if you'd like to. And returning back. Beginning to wake up our bodies. We're going to also continue this practice lying down. So if you have your yoga mat, going ahead and let's move into a few yoga sequences on our back. So getting comfortable with the legs extended, outstretched, straight. Taking your time to find your position and get comfortable. Arms out to your side comfortably. Maybe the palms open just a bit. And letting those toes fall away from one another. Beginning to release the tension of the hips, the back, the shoulders, and feeling the weight of the body now resting against the earth here. Feeling the contact of the heels. Turning your inner eye towards the contact where your calves meet the ground. Perhaps the back of the thighs. This heavier, more prominent contact of the hips and buttocks. Noticing if there's an equal pressure here, if you have a feeling of wanting to realign at all, right to left, as you begin to notice this contact. It's the space, the arch of the low back, perhaps before you begin to notice the contact of the upper back, the shoulder blades, into the shoulders, and this contact all the way down the arms, wherever this touch is happening on the back of the arms or the side of the arms, and then how the hands are resting, the pressure here, the position of the hands. Traveling back up and noticing how there's this space, the arch of your cervical spine, your neck, and then right where the back of the skull meets the surface, between the ears. This body just resting here, being held by the surface beneath, and beginning to touch in with the breath. Gentle rise and fall, the chest and the belly. This warm and steady sensation that we have the ability to attend to anytime we want. And then on each out-breath, possibly beginning to release the weight of the body a little bit further, letting the body melt a little bit more into the surface, just this letting go. So turning your palms down, let's go ahead and bend the knees up, the heels up the mat, both knees together, letting them rise. And then clasping over or under your knees, drawing the knees up towards your chest. Hugging the knees as tight as feels comfortable, noticing what's happening here. The back of your hips, the low spine, back of the thighs. And seeing if it's possible to pay attention to the pressure of the breath against the thighs. Maybe drawing up a little closer, only if that feels okay for you, Lifting the forehead up towards the knees if you'd like. Deepening the stretch just a bit. Releasing the tension as you lower the vertebra and the head back to the ground. And then with the knees still together, the ankles together, and your arms still comfortably clasped over under, allowing the knees to fall a bit to the left and turning your head a bit to the right. And then switching the knees to the right and the head to the left with the breath. I find this very simple rocking back and forth to be quite soothing, and just allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to just be with this movement, these sensations. We're allowed to take a break from our busyness of our mind. It's primarily nonsensical, unnecessary. Moving into this place of ease and calmness with this simple movement. Coming to stillness, hands on your kneecaps, and maybe moving into some small, gentle circles in one direction and then the other. And breathing. Coming to stillness, and now just letting the feet touch down on the floor. So the soles of the feet are flat, the knees are pointed up to the ceiling, the palms are face down. We're going to be moving into pelvic tilt here, just a pelvic rocking motion. And so noticing that there's this arch space under the low back, and beginning to flatten the low back until the entire spine is touching down firmly on the floor. Feeling perhaps some tension building in the abdominals and in the gluteus muscles behind the hips. And then this release, rolling the pelvis forward, rocking it forward and reestablishing this arch. And so if you'd like to do this with your breath, maybe with the out breath, flattening the low back, feeling the effort required here, the tension building. And then on the in-breath, rocking forward and reestablishing this arch, and at your own pace with your breath, maybe moving into this pelvic tilt. Just slowly, the rest of the body, everything besides this rotation of the pelvis, should just be going along with the ride. So noticing if there's any buildup of tension anywhere else in the body and doing your best to release what's not needed. Coming to stillness, finding a comfortable, neutral position here. Feet just a little bit apart, hip width apart, palms down, and we'll move into a bridge position or pose. So as you're ready, going ahead and lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, not too high, feeling comfortable, like you could hang out here. And as you're resting here, noticing the flow of the breath. Coming out of these poses, by the way, anytime that is right for you. And then on an out breath, as we slowly lower down, doing so one vertebra at a time from top down. So you're attending to this touch of the spine, noticing as the low back and the hips touch down. And then an in-breath and an out-breath, just letting go, releasing all the muscles, returning to a neutral position of the pelvis and spine, releasing muscles of the face, and feeling the breath. And so let's go ahead and do this again. As you're ready, lifting the hips up. This time pushing the heels and the shoulders away from one another. So you may notice that the pelvis wants to rise up a little bit higher as you do this, continuing to breathe. And then reaching, extending the fingers out towards the toes and beginning to let the arms rise up to the ceiling. And then gently releasing the arms overhead. And however and wherever, whenever they touch down, going ahead and pushing the heels and extending the fingers away from one another just a drop more as you breathe. And on the next out breath, keeping the arms overhead and going ahead and lowering one vertebra down at a time until the hips touch, noticing the touch, an in-breath and an out-breath. And so with the arms still overhead, if that's comfortable for you, bringing your feet apart. So the soles of the feet are still flat, but now they're on the edges or outside of the yoga mat. Breathing and keeping the left knee pointed towards the ceiling, going ahead and allowing the right knee to fall inwards towards the left knee. Breathing, and as you do so, extending your right fingers out and away behind you, towards the wall behind you. This feeling of moving the right knee and the right fingers away from one another. So you're opening up, separating the vertebra in the hip, this elongation. Breathing. Releasing this and coming back to neutral with the arm and the knee. And then going ahead and keeping the right knee pointed towards the ceiling and letting that left knee fall down towards the right. Extending the left fingers away from the head towards the back wall. Left fingers moving in kind of the opposite direction of the left knees. Opening up the hip, the pelvis, the spine, the shoulder. Feeling an elongation here, wherever and however you're noticing this. And then releasing, coming back up to neutral. And on the next out breath, going ahead and lifting the arms up towards the ceiling. Maybe closing your eyes, seeing if you can feel the touch of the air as you continue to bring the arms down, letting them glide down towards the ground. The air between the fingers or touching the palms of the hands. And just waiting and anticipating when the hands will touch down. And as they do, being with this contact. And then an in-breath, and on an out-breath, bringing your feet back inwards and this full release, letting the legs extend, toes out to the side, palms open. Another in-breath and an out-breath, fully letting go. Feeling the body melt into the surface. Really this surrendering the body. Surrendering the body to gravity. And touching in with the sensations of the breath. And so let's go ahead and roll over to our side and come up into hands and knees. Taking your time to get here. With the hands comfortably under the shoulders, knees hip width apart, making sure that you're accommodating for your own body and modifying these poses in any way that you need to. Going ahead and letting the belly sag down, the head and the tail rise. We move into a cat and cow position. And then on an out breath, going ahead and letting the upper back arch up towards the ceiling, tucking the head and the tail in. And then repeating this at your own pace with the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Don't get caught up in terms of, wait, am I doing the in-breath when I should be? Just rotating this at your own pace. Touching in to the sensation of the entire spine moving here from the base of the spine at the sacrum. Each vertebra rotating and moving upon one another all the way up to the base of the skull, the cervical spine. And just feeling what's here for you. Allowing the hips now to come down towards the ankles, keeping the hands flat on the surface. Starting to feel a broadening throughout the entire back from the shoulders to the base of the spine. Just letting your head Fall down gently, releasing tension in the shoulders here. Noticing the touch of the breath on the thighs. Walking the fingertips of the right hand out and away towards the wall in front of you. So feeling this opening and separation from the shoulders to the base of the spine at this elongation. You can walk the fingers across the left hand if you'd like to deepen the stretch, and even dip the hips down to the right just to drop and breathe. Is it possible to be with these very subtle shifts and changes of sensation? Or are you noticing any sensations that are rigid and fixed? Coming back to neutral, feeling the touch of the breath and walking the left fingertips out and away. Beginning to feel the opening and elongation here on the left side of the body. Crossing those fingertips over the right hands, and if you'd like to dip the left hip down to the left just a drop. Feeling the breath and coming back to neutral, walking those fingertips out away. Just one more time, releasing the tension of the shoulders and the head and breathing. What's here to be noticed along the back, the upper spine, all the way down into the hips? And then going ahead and just letting your fingertips glide along the floor, the mat, all the way up towards your knees. Coming up to a kneeling position, if that's comfortable for you, and moving into standing if you would rather for this. And going ahead and bringing your right leg out in front with the foot flat, kind of a 90-degree position at the hips and at the knee. Placing your hands on the right knee and keeping the body upright, going ahead and beginning to bring the entire upper trunk forward. As you begin to feel an elongation and extension of the front or the top of your left leg, the quadriceps. Breathing, coming forward with care, slowly attending to these shifts and changes so that you can discover how far is safe and right for you, but also having this freshness and openness to what may be possible here. If you'd like to extend out the arms in front, up and away, and gaze upwards. A wonderful opening of the hips, breathing, also a balance pose. Coming back and bringing that knee back down. If you'd like to come down with your hips towards your ankles and extend out into this child's pose. Once again, before coming back up and bringing the left leg forward. So with your hands on the left knee, keeping your body upright, beginning to guide your hips forward, and beginning to notice this opening of the hip and this elongation and stretch on the top of the left thigh, the quadriceps here. Just slowly, carefully, with this sensitivity, intimate attention coming forward and discovering what's here. Breathing. If you'd like to extend the arms up, gazing upwards, this balance pose, a bit of a deeper stretch. Coming back to neutral, and then we're going to go ahead now and maybe just one more lift of the arms and extension, and letting the arms just slowly drop down to our side before coming into our sitting meditation. Nice job. Waking up our body slowly with care with that mindful movement practice. And so finding a place that you'd like to sit or rest for this meditation. Take your time to find a comfortable position. The goal here is to, with our posture, is to be in a position that feels comfortable for you. Don't want to be in a position that you're fighting or sitting in or resting in because you feel you need to be in a particular position or a particular way. So being comfortable, but at the same time, as I mentioned over and over, with this intention of wakefulness and presence, alertness, and that can be reflected in the posture. This posture of being upright and tall, but not too rigid. The arms just resting, dangling to your side as if they're like these two heavy bean bags. Going ahead and lowering your gaze, closing the eyes this morning, if that feels good for you in this moment. Taking a brief scan of the body here now. And the toes all the way up to the top of the head and down the arms. And as you go along, noticing if there's any tension that is still lingering, hanging around, that can kind of creep up and hide from us. So with care, taking inventory for a moment and letting go of what's not needed, softening the features of the face. Feeling the weight of the body sitting here and just letting the base be heavy. The solid foundation, base of support, firmly rooting us to the surface beneath. Beginning to take notice of your surroundings, perhaps. Touching in for a moment, the temperature of the air touching your skin. Be a very subtle flow of air as it gently caresses your skin. A tingling feeling, perhaps, as you make this connection. Perhaps there's a particular smell in your space. Maybe taking that in, or a number of different smells to investigate. Turning your attention now towards the sounds in the space around you. Perhaps the soft and subtle sound of the breath, your in-breath and out-breath. The ambient noises, humming, buzzing. And feeling this gentle and steady rhythm of the breath. Arriving. Present and awake. Taking a moment to touch into the activity of your mind right now, the movement of your mind, or the felt sense of your heart. Seeing what's here right now in this moment. This body-mind connection of how our emotions and emotional flavors to particular thoughts are felt or manifested by the body. Gradually settling in, doing your best to be as fully present right here, right now, whatever it is that shows up or arises just as it is, without feeling a need to change or fix what's here. This quality of really a friendly curiosity, an open-hearted curiosity and inquisitiveness, freshness. Acceptance. And so resting here perhaps with an anchor of your choice, a particular object of awareness that best steadies your attention, helps to anchor you, hold you to the present moment. So narrowing in your focus to an anchor that you may have noticed is easy for you, simple, trustworthy, and reliable. And for some of us, this may be the sensations of breathing, of the in-breath or the out-breath. This broad awareness or a more narrowed awareness of particular, more distinct sensations of the breath. And for some, that may be anchoring into sound. That may be most steadying for you. Others, it may be the sensations of your body, this contact of the buttocks and hips touching down, the sensation of touch or of the hands where they meet the surface or the feet. So just simply collecting, resting your attention on an anchor of your choice. The mind most definitely has wandered a number of times already. This is what our mind does. There's no problem with this. This is an important part of our practice. Instead of continuing to travel down one rabbit hole to the next in a state of unawareness, simply noticing, I drifted off, and isn't that interesting? This is where I went to. This is what I'm thinking about. Being present with your thoughts, and then Making a conscious choice, an intentional choice to redirect your attention back towards what's here right now with your anchor. It's a choice, and it's a powerful ability that we possess, that we can cultivate this letting go, coming back to the present moment. Over and over again. Doing your best to do so with kindness and gentleness, without harshness. And so as you're resting perhaps with your anchor, moving into some gratitude practice, taking some time this morning to recognize the multitude of gifts in our lives. We're really good at recognizing what's not going right in our lives, what we wish would be, what we think should be. So with this gratitude practice, it's all about watering the seeds of what's here, what we can be thankful for, with acceptance. So perhaps taking the next few minutes in silence as you're resting with the breath or sound, or maybe in a more open awareness, bit of a broader awareness. Beginning to intentionally direct your attention towards some of the things, small or large, in your life that you're thankful for, you feel grateful for. Letting it fill your heart, opening your heart, the gentle friendliness with this open-hearted curiosity, really, towards all that's here for you. Filling the body with the warmth of gratitude and appreciation. As we rest with an intentional turning towards all that we have, we're opening up this ability to accept what's here. And so perhaps as you're sitting in this way, repeating quietly to yourself in your own space these words with with your breath. May I accept things as they are. May I accept myself just the way I am. May I accept others just the way they are. May I accept the ever-changing circumstances of my life. Perhaps now broadening, opening our heart a bit deeper and welcoming in this heartfulness, this warm feeling of loving kindness. Using this quality of, I guess, a deeper understanding of the complexities and challenges that all humans are faced with, ourselves and all of those around us, this shared human experience of challenge. In this space of clarity, deeper insight, and greater understanding, it becomes easier to open our hearts to offer loving kindness towards maybe a particular person in your life or towards yourself, most importantly. So, using the next couple minutes here in silence to welcome in this feeling of loving kindness and heartfulness. Choosing to direct this attention towards yourself or towards someone else in your life that you know well, or maybe that you don't know well, or maybe even towards someone who you've been holding judgment towards, you feel has harmed you in some way. Going ahead now and directing your attention back towards your anchor, narrowing in your focus, feeling the warmth of gratitude and appreciation and heartfulness filling the body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Coming back to the breath, if this is not already where your attention was directed towards, and feeling the expansion of the belly and chest, feeling the full release of the breath. This pause at the bottom of the breath and taking a moment to offer yourself one last moment of appreciation, recognition really for participating in this practice this morning. Recognizing this choice that you've made and perhaps how this may benefit you throughout this day. And so at the sound of the singing bowl, as you feel ready, maybe taking in one more deeper, more complete in-breath, filling the entire body with heartfulness, with the nourishment of the breath, with full presence. And on the out breath, this release all the way to the bottom of all that's not necessary here as you move through your day, pausing at the bottom of the out breath if you'd like. And as you feel ready, only when you do, perhaps trying to slow down the process of opening your eyes. As you open them just a bit and notice the light, feeling the rhythm of the breath and being with the texture, the color, the shadows. Beginning to lift your gaze, knowing that you can take with you this practice, drop into a mindful moment anytime you'd like throughout your day. And, it's just wonderful to have all of you joining me here this morning. I hope you have a beautiful day out there and look forward to perhaps seeing some of you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Wendy.
Bye, Cynthia. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks. Wendy.
You're welcome. I think Linda, Sue, Mary, trying to think who else is out there.
Betsy.
Oh, Betsy. Hi, Betsy. Nice to see you. Sandra. Good to see you, Sandra.
Thank you, Betsy. Or thank you, Wendy.
And Betsy.
And Betsy.
And Betsy.
You guys.
Thanks, everybody.